Have you ever wondered why your body feels like it's constantly stuck in overdrive even when you're resting? Are you tired of waking up exhausted, battling inflammation, and feeling like you're just not fully yourself anymore? What if I told you there are gentle movement and breath exercises that can help calm your nervous system, ease pain, and even restore some of that lost energy without draining the little energy that you do have? If that sounds like you are not alone. So many of us living with autoimmune conditions struggle with fatigue, pain, and the grief of losing the old versions of ourselves. Welcome back to the Health Bridge podcast. I'm Holly, and I help women with lupus and other autoimmune conditions reduce flare, regain energy, and reconnect with their higher purpose, all through my Health Bridge protocol, which uses holistic approaches that work alongside traditional medicine. Today, I am joined by Sifu Boggie, a Daoist guide, a lifelong teacher of Qigong, Tai Chi, and energy healing. We're diving into how ancient practices can support modern challenges like autoimmunity, fatigue, and stress overload, especially for women who are struggling with autoimmune conditions and just feeling like their body has betrayed them. By the end of this episode, you will know how to begin a simple self healing routine that's realistic, gentle, and guided to help your body feel safe again. Stick around because we're answering the question, how can you use movement, breath, and energy to reclaim vitality, even in the midst of chronic illness? Sifu Boggie, welcome from England. Thanks for being here.
Thank you for having me on.
You've done everything from being a baker to working as I think, a police officer or some sort of protection agency. But behind all of those things is your practice of being or becoming a Sifu. For those that have not heard that term, can you give us a little insight and background onto what that means?
A lot of things get interpreted in different ways, and it's always like let's go back to source. In the West, we hear that word Sifu, and a lot of people say master, but Sifu actually originates in China. It's two words put together. Fu is parent. Is more like somebody parent. It can be father, it can be mother, so it's more like parent. And the C bit is guiding. It's almost like a pointing finger. So a Sifu is more like a guide, a muse, somebody who points you along the way, guides you on the path, rather than what's happened. It becomes Sifu means master or master of martial arts. And then people have a certain mindset and a certain attitude about that. Original meaning was a guide, a muse, somebody who helps you along the way.
So you have used this in terms of healing arts, essentially, and helping people with self healing and with unlocking the body's potential, sort of combining these ancient practices that you've been taught in with modern understandings of like epigenetics and things like that. I think the first question on a lot of people's minds who maybe are newer into the quote unquote alternative healing space is, when they're dealing with these really confusing autoimmune conditions, what are ancient practices like Qigong? Like, how are they powerful enough to really stand up to modern day science? And how can it help them overcome modern day stressors that have led them down this path to chronic illness in the first place?
So the biggest thing, so one of the things for me over the last 40 years, people I've taught, it very much varied, and I came from a martial art background, but in the East, martial arts, again, another misconception. We think it means fighting, but it actually means personal development. And to the point where in the Daoist arts, and even in martial arts, you have martial, medical, and meditation. So was actually this was a link between all three. And the interesting or the great thing about I've always been a lover of science and energy work, spirituality. And the biggest thing of right now, we're in a moment in history where science is proving this ancient stuff. And we call it New Age, and it's like, I find it quite funny how a lot of the stuff we say is New Age is older. It's older than modern medicine. And yet we use the term New Age because we're trying to dismiss it and dismiss its capabilities. But the thing of, for example, epigenetics is that the mind controls your physical health. So what epigenetics is actually showing, pointing towards these ancient understandings and things like Qigong. And the whole point of Qigong, which is like the grandfather of Tai Chi. A lot of people have heard of Tai Chi. Well, Tai Chi is a style of Qigong. And Qigong means energy exercise, breath work, moving with breath. And one of the things with, we cut away lots of stuff. And there's case studies that I was part of in the 90s, that alone, this idea of moving with breath, when you breathe, letting your body expand, and when you breathe out, letting it contract, and moving more harmoniously while breathing. This alone balances the left and right hemispheres of the brain, which that balance starts to actually regulate the body's functions. And it starts to balance things up. And this word balance is an interesting one, because in the West, we see balance as a set of scales that has to be still. Things are balanced and still. But in nature and in the Daoist concept, the Eastern concept, balance is more like a wave. And so your balance is day to day. Some days you feel really good and some days not so good. But when you look at the bigger picture, which way are you going? Through the years, I've had a lot of patients and students, and I also do massage and energy work. And I've had a lot of patients with fibromyalgia, ME, MS, IBS, in the autistic spectrum as well. What people don't understand is this thing that the epigenetics is saying is the way you think and feel affects your physical health. When we are agitated, when we are stressed, what happens in the body starts to actually shut down. The things start to slow down and stop. But when we flip that, when we're happy and we're more content and we're focusing on the things we do want in life, but the cells literally change. The cells literally start to activate. And there is science showing that our heart isn't just a pumping mechanism. It actually generates energy, actually generates an electric magnetic field. And that field, when we are in positive feelings and when we're feeling good about ourselves, that field expands. And as it expands, everything within that cell starts to regenerate, literally to the fact where they've seen DNA start to repair itself. But when that field contracts, everything outside of the field starts to break down. So what Qigong does, Tai Chi does, and what even things like meditation and yoga, what they're doing is I've gone one step further, even things like your hobbies. What's your favorite hobby? Knitting, skiing, fishing. Those things make you feel good. And when you feel good, your body actually goes into a positive cycle and it starts to repair itself. It starts to get better. But when we're in those negative cycles, feeling bad, it starts to degenerate. Now, another thing they found that also helps that is movement. So when we're feeling good and moving, hence Qigong, breath work, moving with breath, again, that is a flow and it's flowing, the body's repairing itself, and you've got the blood, the oxygen, the energy, Qi, I call it, or many different things, that starts flowing through the body. And that affects the body in a certain way. But when we sit still and when we stagnate by sitting still, and then we're in that negative feelings as well, that actually puts us in reverse. So there's not like the old wives' tale. You get people like, oh, go outside and just go outside and you'll feel better. Well, there's science to show that going outside, especially if you can go outside with your bare feet, that's a thing called earthing. We connect the magnetic field of the earth, draws up into our body. which is a thing. It's not woo-woo, it's actual science. We know that through our feet, we actually draw up magnetic energy that connects with the heart, the magnetic field of the heart expands. So earthing the body is actually a real thing. It's a good thing. And that movement, again, when we move as well, that's actually increasing things, making things work. And even simple things like stretching, you don't have to know yoga. We don't have to be a yogi to stretch. You can just stretch your arms and stretch your body and move a little bit, or you can get some music on and dance. And you feel better. Well, you feel better because you're starting to move the body, balancing the homeostasis between the left and right hemispheres, which balances the body more. It activates in the hypothalamus different chemicals, the feel-good chemicals. It starts to make you feel better, which then the cells go, oh, we can start working better. So, I mean, what I do, I focus on Qigong and Reiki and massage, but also as a guide in use, I'm saying just do things that make you feel good, and doing those things that make you feel good will actually help you be good. That will actually help you start to regenerate body. And if you could add that to that, a little bit of going outside and earthing, or just walking in the park or even in the garden and doing things that make you enjoy, you can actually start to turn around your system and start to flip it around the other way and start to get better. Now, it's not a golden pill. It doesn't happen straight away. It's a thing you need to do again and again and again over days, weeks. But when we do this, we can actually alter things, we can change things. And that wave, instead of the wave going more down and down, you can actually start making that wave go more the opposite direction.
I talk about joy a lot and cultivating that sense of joy and connecting with those things that bring you joy a lot, because I think it's one of the vital aspects of healing, especially when it comes to chronic illnesses. We get so bogged down with the symptoms of the illness, and we stop moving, we start stagnating even more than we had been before, and we lose touch with those simple things in life that really light us up from the inside. And my whole goal with this podcast, with my coaching program, is to reignite that flame, right? Reignite the things inside that make us who we are, that light our soul up, that spills out into your close family and friends and beyond. And in my point of view, that's how we truly change the world, right? Is by lighting ourselves up from the inside. One thing I was thinking of when you were talking about bringing the movement back in when we've been so stagnant, there's the other kind of flip side to this, where I see in a lot of autoimmune conditions, myself included here, it can come with a nervous system that is like on high alert and feels hyper vigilant. And sometimes in those cases, we also need to find that balance of becoming calm and still to help to regulate that nervous system. Can you kind of talk about, and I'm using the word balance, but I'll see that in terms of the wave, and maybe you can speak to that and how we have both.
Well, the biggest thing, again, misconceptions, stillness doesn't mean stiffness. It doesn't mean stagnation. Now, when we were kids, there's a real, and there's an interesting thing on this as well. So when we were kids and we fidgeted and, like when we rambling 900 miles a second about absolutely nothing, and asking 500 questions and annoying the heck out of your parents, we were told, sit still, be quiet, stop moving, stop fidgeting. And for a lot of people, that stuck, and we became this rigidness. Now, there's case study that actually shows that fidgeting is a natural process of the body that allows the body to release tension, whether that's emotional, physical, or energetic, but it helps release tension within the body. So we fidget for a reason. And, I'm from the UK, but there's, Europe, Italy, Spain, for those who are older, my hands are waving about all over the place. A lot of people are very visual and use their hands. And well, the reason we do this is we're expressing certain things that words themselves can't necessarily describe. And so like our pitch and whatnot changes because of the way we express ourselves. So movement is really important. Now, so we were saying about like stillness, and had a lot of patients where certain movements would actually hurt. And, it's about, I can't move, I can't do this. It's like, you misunderstand. In the essence of is that what I'm talking about is not moving in an erratic state, is moving in a flowing state. So even the simple fact of sitting there or even laying there, I've had patients who would go through periods of time where they have to lay in the bed and lay down. So lay there and properly relax. Lay and sink. Focus on everything and relax and get heavier and heavier and heavier. And focus on that. And they said, but I can't do that. Okay, tense as much as you can. Now relax. Tense again and relax. And the art of tensing and relaxing is actually what a massage is. When I massage a shoulder or a muscle, I'm squeezing it or letting go, squeezing them down. I'm pumping the blood back in. Tensing and relaxing is doing the same thing. Now, at first, I get them to do that. And then what I want you to do is quite simply, as you sit there, lay there, breathing in, and just feel yourself totally expand, like a balloon or the Michelin Man, if you're old enough to remember that. They expand and get really big, or the Marshmallow Man, but in the States. And then breathe out and relax. And now I don't want you to contract. What I want you to do is find your comfortable upright position, and that's your default position. And then breathe in, you feel your lungs expand, feel your body expand, then breathe out and relax back to that default. Breathe in, expand, breathe out, relax. Now do that as a meditation. You'll do that while sitting there watching the world go by or reading a book, and allow your body to gently move and expand. And when you actually look in nature and you look at cats and dogs, they do that. You watch them, they'll sit there staring into space. You don't what's he staring at? Your cat or dog or lizard or whatever, but especially mammals, when they do that, they are meditating. That is their meditation, expanding the body and contracting. And you watch their body like a baby. You watch a baby breathes from the belly, moves from the belly, because not so long ago it was attached to a umbilical cord, and it draws all the nutrients and the oxygen from there. So it continues to move from the belly. And in the Eastern process, belly breathing is a very important thing. In actual fact, as a kid, I suffered from stress, anxiety, and not until I was 30 years old, I was actually diagnosed with dyslexia, dyspraxia, the slight touch of autism. Why not? But as a kid, I suffered a lot from IBS and from the stress and the worry and the belly breathing technique. Breathing in, let the belly expand. Breathe out, pulling that belly. Breathing, let the belly expand. Breathing out, pulling the belly in. So you start to massage your internal organs, and especially the solar plexus, which is in between the belly button and the lower ribs. There's the solar plexus, the plexus of nerves. And that stores a lot of emotions in there. It stores a lot of the emotions that become toxins are stored within the guts, within the solar plexus. So belly breathing, get the belly expand, breathe out, pull the belly in. Even if that's all you can do, breathing in, let the belly expand, breathing out, pull the belly in. And then eventually you bring that to the whole body, moving the body, expanding and contracting, expanding and contracting. And that is like the reset. It's a reset that starts to allow you to reset the body. There's another thing in nature, animals, dogs and cats do. When they wake up in the morning, they stretch. They're doing yoga, and just to stretch your arms. That is yoga. Union. Yoga means union of the mind and the body. The stretching is when we stretch. Oh, I feel a little bit better. because you're releasing the toxins from the tendons. You're stretching the muscle slightly, and it's starting to break down that stagnation, that tension within the body. So do a little bit of stretching. Just you can even stretch in the seat. If you're restricted to a seat, you can just push that leg out or straighten that leg, push the arms up towards the sky, out to the sides, push it behind, try not to hit a vase, like I have done so many times, or a pot or a kid, or a small dog or large dog. But the whole idea is to stretch that meditation. Just meditation is one of the many words that we don't understand. Meditation simply means focus on one thing, forget everything else. If you like knitting, you're meditating. If you like fishing, you're meditating. If you like playing, doing a crossword puzzle, you're meditating. You're focusing on one thing, forgetting everything else. It's one or two exceptions to that. TV is not, it drains more than it enhances. So actually, like reading a book or looking out to nature or going for a simple walk where you're just laying there looking at the sky, that's a form of meditation. So stretching, meditating, and then the Qigong is one very simple one I've just already shown. Breathing in at belly expand, breathe out, call the belly in. Get used to that one, and then do that with the whole body. And then after that, just try breathing in, raise up your hands, breathing out, lowering your hands, and just do that for a little bit. And you're expanding, contracting your energy, your chi, but you're also stretching the muscles. You're building things up. And the biggest thing, a lot of people have said, I can't do. They've seen some of my stuff and that's too complex. It's like, well, don't do the complex ones then. Do the easy ones, do the simple ones. My oldest student is 96 years old, and they started at 96. Their wife had passed away. It was their daughter who did Qigong with me and encouraged her dad come and see me. And we started on seated stuff. Was basically started with belly breathing, and then we built up and we built up. He lived for another 10 years, so lived to 106. And originally at 96, I didn't think he would reach 100. And you're never too late to learn. You're never too weak to start. Even if you're bedbound, you can start with very simple things and build up and grow. And there is enough evidence. Bruce Lee was a famous one. In epigenetics, Dr. Joe Dispenza, broke his spine, similar to Bruce Lee, was told he was never going to walk again. And from his bed, he started doing exercises and movements, and he basically worked through his own spine, fixed his own spine, using imagination, using his understanding, feeling. He actually fixed his own spine. And the biggest thing in epigenetics, they promote Qigong, Tai Chi, because it works with the whole system, and it works on the understanding of getting you to feel good again, getting you to actually start to change things. And the biggest thing is that I'm not telling you to, to ignore the doctors or anybody else, but this can be done. This is you. This is working on you. You're working on yourself. And when we start small, we can build up, like dominoes. Have you ever seen dominoes that you can start with a little tiny domino all the way up to dominoes the size of a house, and you push one and it knocks one over. It knocks one over. And, there have been world records where eventually the dominoes are literally the size of a house, and it all started from one this big, and so that means that you can start small and build up. Every journey starts with one step. Everything starts with a puzzle, a beautiful puzzle of 10,000 pieces starts with one piece, and that's where it's about starting small and building up. It's just going with the journey. It's all about that journey. It's all about that growing, allowing yourself just to grow and flow. You'll have bad days and you'll have good days. And your goal is to keep the good days flowing and growing. When you have a bad day, try looking up. When you look up, you drain the 60 to 90 pointing force in your forebrain that we have, which is the frontal lobe, monkey mind. And that's what clouds you. When looking up, it starts to actually drain all those thoughts and the fluids that build up in your head, especially your headaches, the same thing. But when we look up, we actually start to drain the head, drain the monkey mind, and it starts to bring things back to a clearer perspective.
I didn't know that. I haven't heard that part of that perspective before. I know in a lot of, at least Eastern meditations, they have you direct your eyes towards your third eye. And now you're explaining the reasoning behind that. I love it. What's so wonderful about what you're talking about is that you're showing everyone that healing and movement is possible no matter where your starting point. And we can take that on ourselves by these simple little daily practices and just build and build like the dominoes. We can start with the regular size, thumb size domino and build all the way up till we're slamming down that house size domino. Hey, I just wanted to jump in here and interrupt the program for just a hot minute. You know that I'm so passionate about this podcast, but what I'm also really passionate about is helping women with lupus minimize their symptoms, boost their energy so that they can indulge in life again. So if you are a woman who is struggling with lupus, who is sick and tired of being sick and tired, who's struggling to manage your flares, if you're finding that your lupus symptoms are just really getting in the way of you being able to live your life the way you want to, I feel you. I've been there myself and I felt the same way. And what I've found is that there are a certain set of health fundamentals that once applied will support you in your foundational health. They will support you in building and maintaining that energy, minimizing flares, and allowing you to, again, indulge in life and follow your passions. So, if that is something that you are interested in creating for yourself, let's jump on a call together. I will walk you through the process that I use with my clients to get them from sick and tired to strong foundation of health by implementing my Health Bridge protocol. If this is something you're interested in chatting more about, I would love to talk to you. Apply for a free clarity call with me, and I look forward to getting to know you soon. And now back to the episode. And that is so self generated. I actually had a woman on my podcast who healed herself from MS and whose partner had gone through Joe Dispenza's program and he had been paralyzed as well and now walks and now I think works within Joe Dispenza's group, teaching others how to do the same. So the power of the mind and the body really can be limitless. It's us being able to expand our mind to accept that. And that's another aspect of healing, which is a couple things. Learning the mindsets to behind reframing autoimmune diseases, diagnoses, traumas from something that is inherently bad and terrible that happened to you, to slowly understanding that yes, it sucked. Yes, it was terrible. Yes, it was hard, but this was an essential life lesson. And we can grow from this and through this, and that we can find this to be proof of our worth, that we are still here. Right.
That bit is so ultimately important. Through the years, is like, fibromyalgia, MEMS, the autoimmune disease. One of the biggest problems with them is there's nothing to see. It's like, and one of the annoying things about people, I love people, but one of the annoying things about people is that if you're not a pool on the floor and they can't see what's wrong with you, then no, there's nothing wrong with you. What are you talking about? And the issue is that, this is the problem for a long time being in the medical profession. That, it's like, well, can't find anything wrong with you. It's all in your head. And, that's like, it's your fault it's your fault, you're wrong, you're bad, there's something wrong with you. And that stigma still exists. That's still, there'll be people around you. It's like, well, you look fine, why can't we do this? Why can't we do that? And it's these things, sort of there, and they nag at you, and they wear you down. And I want to say this, or which goes to what you said, is one of the biggest realizations, or one of the biggest things in Daoist thought. And the Dragon Dog Shaman says, look back into your past, look back at all the terrible things, all the horrible things in your life. Look at them, and each one go, I'm here. I survived that. And the next one, they're here. I survived that. And so, what you're going through right now, with whatever your condition is, you're still here. You've got all through this. However, wherever you are, however big you are, you're still here. You're still here. And while you're still here, that means you can go up. Because the biggest thing is that while you're still breathing, while you're still here, you can still challenge things. You can still alter things. And I've learned that from a perspective. When I was a kid, I was bullied a lot. I didn't understand the world, and I didn't get things. And I did try to get suicidal. I try to aid it as a young kid. I hated the world. I just hated the place. Didn't understand it. And it was from the Qigong, from those understandings, there's always if you're still here, you can change things. If you're still here, you can do something about it. You can make things different. You can alter things, however bad it looks, even if you think you're cornered, and there's scary monsters behind you chasing you into a corner, you can try them. You can turn around and fight. There's always something you can do, and the only time you lose, the only time you fail is when you give up, when you say there's nothing else I can do. But if you figure out, just start with something small, start with something tiny, and you can slowly rebuild, and you can slowly get built up. There's a story of a man walking on the beach and sees a child on the beach, and the beach is absolutely covered in starfish. There are millions of starfish all over, and he sees the child picking up one and saying something and putting it back in the water. Picking up one and saying something and putting it back in the water. And the man walks over to the child and says, "What are you doing?" And the child says, "I'm saving starfish." And he said, "But there's millions. There's millions. You can't save them all." And the little girl says, "But I've saved this one. And I've saved this one. And I've saved this one." And for me, a metaphor in that, start wherever you are, however big things are, however restricted you feel, start small. Quantum physics is like the small is so much bigger than we think. That in the world of the quantum, everything is possible. Everything happens all at once. So start small. Start where everything is possible. Start where nothing is impossible. Just start small. Start on the smallest thing. Work on one little thing at a time and build up. Work on the next thing and build up. Yes, you have down days, but with down days, look up. Down days, just focus on what you can do. You can still breathe. You can still do something, or still watch a puppy video and make yourself smile. Focus on the smiles. Focus on the little stuff, and build up.
So I love that story of the starfish because it's such a perfect reframe. I love that mindset shift. And I think that's so important because that's the shift that we need to go through with not just our health journey, but I think life in general. We grow up with all of these learned narratives about what is possible for us in health and wealth, in relationships. And I talk about mindset a lot because to me, learning how to shift my mindset, learning how to spot my limiting beliefs as I was thinking them or saying them, learning how to pay attention to the words I was using to speak about my situation. When I started doing that, that was when my trajectory shifted in everything, but especially in my health. And so I think that's such a big part of this journey. And taking practices like you're talking about, starting out small, starting just with a little bit of movement, a little bit of flow, a little bit of breath. We can start with those small things and it will have a compounding effect the more we do them. And it'll not just be with our health, it'll be with our mindset. It'll be about bringing joy into our life. It'll be about how we handle interactions with others and on from there. I just think it's a beautiful way of going about this. We don't have to be stuck in the box of Western medicine. We don't have to be stuck in the box of society at large. We can create our own realities.
You don't have to be stuck in that box of illness. You are not IBS. You are not fibromyalgia. It's a jacket or a cloth. Oh, you're wearing that, but you can take it off. You don't have to wear it. For me, one of the things in Daoism is a simple philosophy of there is no good or bad, there just is. And a lot, if that trigger, if you hear those words and you have a reaction to that, oh, but what about this and what about that? You're in this opposing opposite. You're in this there is good and there's bad and it's fighting. And your illness is the reason I say there is no good or bad, there just is. When I looked back, when I started meditating about the things that happened in my life, all those bad moments, all those sad moments that happened, I realized that I learned from them. I realized that this down led to an up. And then, that up was there to also to enjoy and remember in the downs, that each one has a play in the other. And so the whole idea, and again, in the West, or in modern society, I should say more than the West, we have this thing, oh, you're meant to be perfect, you're meant to be healthy all the time, you're always, and then everybody who's not feels horrible that, there's something wrong with me, I'm not this. And it's like, but that's not true. That's not reality. Even the most wealthiest people in the world have bad days. When I was in post protection, I looked after millionaires and billionaires, and a lot of them were miserable all the freaking time. They weren't happy. They had their own freaking problems. And I've known people that were supposed to be health gurus who had their own health problems. They had issues, or they woke up aching, and it's like, we all have downs. We all have ups. It is normal. That's the true normal. Is that we all have those moments. But the biggest thing is to realize that when you do have a down, what can I do with this? How can I change this? Because apart from the starfish story, one of the other ones I really love is that flowers grow from manure. And what's manure? It's crap. So your bad days, your rubbish days, turn into manure, and from the manure your flowers will grow. From that, in Chinese they say cha, and qi. At first we did that breathing meditation, breathing in and breathing out. Breathe in the qi, the light, everything you do want, and then you breathe out the cha, the stress, the worry, and you no longer need. That's a great metaphor. Though there's another bit to it, is that eventually the goal as a Daoist alchemist is to get that cha and convert it into qi. Turn the cha into qi. So turn your bad days into good days. If you're, you don't have the momentum to get up and do stuff, paint, read a book, do something you can do from the position you're in. Turn that cha into qi. Make everything something else. How many times have we seen kids or been kids itself that you get a big present in the big box and they take the present out, leave it on the side, then play with the box for 45 minutes an hour. So, life's full of boxes. Life's full of things that we see as rubbish, but it doesn't have to be rubbish. You can flip it around. You can change it. You can turn it. And that's the biggest thing I focus on and have learned to focus on is There is no good or bad. You know, and you never fail. Failure is only if you're not here anymore. And while you're here, it's just a lesson. Learn from it and do something with it. So it's about twisting the perspective. And again, even with that, there's a thing of just, you make a mistake, you have a bad day, don't break yourself, don't tear yourself off, because that's what other people do. That's what the outside world does to you, and it leaves that echo in your head that you play back, telling yourself off for not getting up today, or not doing this, or not doing that. Focus on, there's always tomorrow, or, just keep swimming. I always forget which Disney movie it is as well, but Dory for the
Finding Nemo.
The fish.
Finding Nemo.
Oh, what does she do? Just keep swimming, just keep swimming, just keep swimming. And it's a really annoying song, but it plays in your head. And it's that, don't focus on the location, don't focus on, you can't go far. Just keep going. Just keep going. And if you just keep going, then you're going to end up somewhere. That's the whole point, is that if you keep moving forwards, if you just keep taking those little steps, you will keep going. And while you keep going, you keep moving. And everything you've been through, you're still here. You are a freaking powerhouse. You know what? I've had this, I've had a student who said, I had the fibromyalgia for 40 years. And it's like, do you know how powerful you are? Went, what? Said, you've had it for 40 years and you're still here. You're still going. But I'm wheelchair bound. But you're still here. You haven't jumped over a train or an air balloon. You're still here. That's how powerful you are. That you're still ticking. You're still moving forward. That if you're still here, you're actually moving forward. And all you need to do then, if you're still moving forward, just change the direction.
And it goes back to, it's never too late to learn how to shift. It's never too late. Like you said, 40 years stuck in a wheelchair, fibromyalgia, and all of a sudden that light switch can turn on. And it's like, oh, I am powerful. Oh, and that opens the door to creating new thought, and then creating another new thought, and then creating another new thought. And all those new thoughts lead to new experiences. And all of a sudden the world is kind of your oyster again. You can shift your own experience. And I think we lose sight of the fact that we do have control, even when it feels like we don't have control. We have to surrender to the things that are out of our control and realize the things that we can shift around, that we can work around, that we can work with and move through. I can't control that I have lupus, but I can control my reaction to my symptoms, right? And it starts with that.
Yeah, 100%. I just want to say that, that thing of the world is your oyster. You know how oysters are made? Well, not the oyster, but the pearl inside of the oyster. Is that the pearl is because not all oysters have pearls. And the oysters that have pearls is that a tiny little bit of sand is in the oyster, and it irritates the oyster, and it actually creates a pearl from that irritation. So that pearl, that beautiful pearl, is created from irritation. It's created from disharmony. So for me, that saying is like, is that, you create something from the discomfort, create something wondrous from this, be the pearl yourself, be a blooming pearl, create the pearl. So, and just keep swearing. What do I know?
We've talked about so many golden nuggets in this conversation. And I think just to sum everything together and put things into some more actionable tips for people who are struggling in their autoimmune journey. You've talked about a lot of practices already, but for someone who's like, yeah, that sounds good, but I'm still kind of overwhelmed by all the things. And we feel like we're running on empty, right? It's like we only have for the terms spoons, chronic health. People that struggle with chronic health issues say that, I only have so many spoons in a day, spoonfuls of energy, right? And so we're running low on spoons. Can you just give an overview of what, like, maybe a 4-week plan to starting these type of practices and incorporating it into your days might look like for somebody?
Firstly, just realize realize there is no good or bad, just is. That you can move forward, and movement is the most important thing. So whether that movement starts tiny or it start you got enough spoons in you to get outside, start moving is important. So even if you sit there, breathing in, let yourself expand, breathe out, pull yourself in. Just do that for a little bit. Breathe, let yourself expand. Don't try not to watch the telly, or at least turn the volume down, and just breathe in, let yourself expand, breathe out, let yourself reset, bring yourself back to reset. Breathe in, expand, bring yourself back to reset. Looking up every now and again, throwing the head, especially if you've got that head of yours. Oh, this is rubbish. It's not going to work. Just look up. Yeah. Be quiet. Be quiet, voices. And just keep swimming. Just keep starting off small. And you start on that. And also try to reward yourself. The biggest thing is, like, when we have kids, we say, well, if you tidy your room, you'll get a piece of cake or you'll get Pokemon. Well, do that with yourself. You're still a child. And we were meant to be children. That was in the original concept. The divine masculine, the divine feminine, the divine child is not about a man, a woman, or kids. It's actually about ourselves. All of us have the masculine side, which is the action, getting things done. You have the feminine side, which is the nurturing, the feeling, the keeping things going. And you have the child, the play. But seeing the bigger picture and activating your imagination, that's inside you. Let them exist. So reward yourself, find things that you enjoy and do that. Epigenetics literally says the things that make you feel good will actually help you heal. Start with them. Start doing that. Then, if you want to go into something that's really going to actually start working your body, if you look up twist the waist or willow tree Qigong, is one of the exercises I teach on YouTube. It's on my Sifu Boggie page, willow tree Qigong, twist the waist. And it is an exercise. Now, it is an exercise for standing, and you turn your weight from side to side and allow your arms to flop. And it looks a little bit like a toddler going, oh, I don't want to go. Oh, I don't like cabbage. It's a very simple twisting the exercise. Now, if you can't sit, or you can't stand, but you have a seat that has no arms, or you can sit on a stool or a yoga ball, you can do it. You can do it from seated or in bed. Sit up in bed, be a little bit away from the headboard or the back of the back, and just flop your arms from side to side, and just twisting the spine. The spine is so important. 98% of the nerves run through the spine. So there's a 98% chance that your issues are contained within the spine. When we twist the spine, we improve blood flow, we help the central nervous system, but we'll also, any nerves trapped within the vertebrae of the spine. I haven't got my spine. I've got a little spine I call Bob. So I haven't got Bob here. It's at the shop. But when your little vertebrae are like little Lego pieces, it's called, and in between each one there are nerves. And when one is trapped, a nerve gets trapped. Well, those nerves send signals to different parts of your body. So when they're trapped, they slow certain organs down and slow certain bits down. So by turning just in the waist from side to side, if you do it for a minute, awesome. If you do it for 5 hours, brilliant. You're freaking master, but brilliant. But do it for as long as you do it. Twist the waist. So twist the waist. That will start to then it's actually a self massage. It's actually start to work on the body and release that tension. Start doing that breathing exercise, starting from the belly, breathing in, breathing out, looking up when you need to, especially if things are getting too much, look up, do the belly breathing exercise, do the body breathing exercise, and just start moving. So twist the waist, military Qigong, belly breathing exercise, and knowing there is no good or bad. You're going to have bad days. Find good stuff to do on the bad days. On the good days, do all good stuff. But keep doing good stuff. Focus on the up. Focus on what you can do, not on what you can't. Start working on that, and then there's one more simple exercise. I'm going to actually put spine. For those on the audio, if you ever heard of hula hoop, or if you can stand and you just circle your waist, put in your bum when you go forwards, stick out your bum when you go back, and it's like a hula hoop. You ever seen a kid with a hula hoop? That's what they're doing. They're circling their waist and they're pulling in the bum and sticking the bum out. So as they go back, they stick the bum out, and as they go in, they pull the bum in. Do it suddenly one way, and then you do it so many the other. And it's also called spiraling hip Qigong. That's my seat making a funny noise. Spiraling hip Qigong. And the whole idea is your hips, so your spine is the thrusting channel. Everything goes through the spine. The connection from heaven to earth, from your head to your body, is through the spine. Your hips is like when you're man, woman, banana, or goat. Your hips is your birthing side. Your creativity comes from your hips. So when you're stiff in the hips and the waist, you're actually stiff in your thoughts, your feelings, in your whole life. So twisting the waist, that loosens up a little bit in the hips and the rest of the body. Then that hula hoop, circling your waist, pulling in your bum as you go forward, sticking out your bum as you go back, and do it the other way. Those exercises will start to shift things. Things will start to move. And it will move physically, it will move emotionally, and it will move consciously or spiritually towards you. But it will always affect the mind, the body, and the spirit. And you start off with those movements. Like I say, if all you can do is breathe, then breathe in an expanding way. All you can do is look up, then do that. All you can do is twist the waist, and do that. You can do all of them. Awesome. You want to do more? Go and look out. See what attracts you. See what draws you in. And or come and see me.
And tell us where they can find you.
Okay. So Sifu Boggie, you will find on Instagram, on Facebook, on TikTok, on YouTube. And I also have my own online store, and that is, we'll have the links down below as well. It is shundao.uscreen.io. And that is sort of like my mystery school. It's sort of the school where there's lots of different things you can learn there. And the whole idea that for me, I've always been a person that will throw 30 different things at you and see what sticks. Because the whole idea is we're all different. We all like different stuff. I was I want everything. I learned everything. I learned 1,000 Qigongs, so you only have to learn 3. And that's the whole point. And so the whole idea is that don't get overwhelmed by lots of stuff. Pick one thing. Save one starfish. That's all I want you to do. Focus on one thing and build from that.
This has been an incredible conversation, Sifu. Thank you so much for being here.
It's great pleasure. Great pleasure. Especially this topic, because, like I say, over the years, I've had a lot of people and partners and friends who were suffering from MS, fibromyalgia, lupus, Crohn's, and they think all is lost, and they can't see the wood for the trees because it becomes so overwhelming, and it's this thing of just pick one thing, start with one thing, and know you're still here so you can move forwards.
Thank you so much to Sifu Boggie for sharing powerful wisdom and practical tools today. I hope you're walking away with a sense of hope that even small breaths, gentle movements, and mindful practices can help calm your body and bring back some energy. If this episode spoke to you, remember you don't have to navigate autoimmunity alone. I'd love to support you on your journey. You can find my free daily lupus guide and symptom tracker in the show notes, or apply for a free health strategy call if you're ready to go deeper and take the next step. Until next time, take a deep breath, give yourself grace, and keep building your bridge back to health. We'll see you on the next episode soon of the Health Bridge podcast.